Imagine waking up strapped to a chair. Your wrists are tied down. Electrodes are attached to your temples. A man in a white coat stands in front of you, holding a remote control. He tells you that what you're about to feel is for your own good, that it's going to fix you, that it's going to make you normal. And then he presses the button. Your body convulses. Pain shoots through your skull like lightning. You scream, but no one stops it. This isn't a horror movie. This is conversion therapy, and it happened to thousands of LGBTQ+ people, not in the distant past, not in some faraway country. This happened in the United States, in the United Kingdom, in places people call civilized, and some of it is still happening today. Tonight, I'm going to tell you the story of Daniel, a 17-year-old boy whose parents believed they could change who he was, a boy who survived what most people wouldn't even believe was real. This is his story, and if you've ever been told that who you are is wrong, this is for you. Before we go further, you need to understand what conversion therapy actually is. It's not therapy, it's not treatment, it's torture dressed up in clinical language. Conversion therapy is any attempt to change someone's sexual orientation or gender identity, and the methods used are horrifying as they sound. Electroshock therapy, aversion therapy where you're shown images while being physically hurt, starvation, isolation, verbal abuse, physical restraint, forced medication. Some programs lock people in facilities for months. Some operate out of churches. Some are run by unlicensed counselors who genuinely believe they're saving souls. And here's the terrifying part. In many places, it's still legal. As of 2025, only 22 U.S. states have banned conversion therapy for minors. In the UK, a ban was promised but not yet fully enforced. In many countries, it continues unchecked. According to the Trevor Project, more than 700,000 LGBTQ+ adults in the U.S. have undergone conversion therapy. Nearly 350,000 of them were minors when it happened. Think about that. Hundreds of thousands of children forced into programs designed to break them. Daniel was one of them. Daniel knew he was gay when he was 14. He didn't tell anyone. He knew better. He grew up in a religious household in a small town where being different wasn't just frowned upon, it was considered sinful. He kept it hidden. He dated girls he didn't care about. He laughed at jokes he hated. He prayed every night that the feelings would go away. They didn't. When he was 17, his mother found messages on his phone, messages between him and another boy, messages that made it clear what Daniel had been hiding. She didn't yell, she didn't cry, she just looked at him with this expression Daniel would never forget. It wasn't anger, it was something worse, disappointment. She sat him down that evening with his father. They told him they loved him. They told him this wasn't his fault. They told him there were people who could help. And then they told him they'd found a program, a Christian counseling retreat, 2 months in the mountains, away from distractions, away from temptation. Daniel didn't want to go, but he was 17. He didn't have a choice. 2 weeks later, he was driven to a facility 3 hours from home. It looked like a summer camp, cabins, a chapel, a dining hall. But the moment he arrived, he knew something was wrong. The doors locked from the outside, phones were confiscated, there were no windows in the sleeping quarters, and the staff didn't smile. On his first night, they gathered all the new arrivals in a room. There were 14 of them, some as young as 15, all there for the same reason. A man introduced himself as the director. He told them that this place was a sanctuary, a place where they could be healed, where they could find their true selves. And then he said something Daniel would never forget. You are not broken because of who you love. You are broken because you refuse to accept God's design, and we are here to help you accept it. The program started with prayer sessions, hours of them. They would sit in circles and confess their struggles. Counselors would tell them that same-sex attraction was a test, that overcoming it was proof of faith. Daniel tried to play along. He said what they wanted to hear. He nodded. He prayed. But it wasn't enough. After the first week, they introduced aversion therapy. They would show him images of men, and every time he looked too long, they would play a loud, jarring noise, or spray him with cold water, or shock him with a small electric device on his wrist. The goal was simple: train his brain to associate men with pain. It didn't work. It just made him hate himself more. The worst part came in the third week. Daniel had a breakdown. He refused to participate in a session. He told a counselor he wanted to leave, that this wasn't helping, that it was making him worse. The counselor's response was chilling. That means it's working. They isolated him, put him in a small room with no windows, no books, no interaction, just him, a Bible, and a chair. They called it reflection time. He called it solitary confinement. He stayed there for 3 days. On the second night, he thought about ending it. He thought about how much easier it would be to just stop existing, to stop being the problem. But something stopped him. He thought about the other kids in the program, the 15-year-old boy who cried himself to sleep every night, the girl who hadn't spoken in days, the kid who whispered, "I just want to go home." And he realized if he gave up, he'd be telling them that this place was right, that people like them didn't deserve to survive. So he decided to survive, not because he believed he would be saved, but because he refused to let them win. Daniel was released after 2 months. His parents picked him up. They asked how he felt. He told them what they wanted to hear. "I feel different." They smiled. They hugged him. They thought it worked. But it didn't. Daniel didn't feel cured. He felt broken. He felt hollow. He felt like a part of him had been ripped out and replaced with shame. For months he went through the motions. He went to church. He went to school. He smiled when he was supposed to. But inside he was drowning. And then he met someone who changed everything. A school counselor noticed something was wrong. She pulled him aside one day and asked if he was okay. Daniel broke down. He told her everything: the program, the therapy, the isolation, the thoughts. She didn't judge. She didn't preach. She didn't tell him to pray harder. She told him the truth. What they did to you was abuse. It wasn't therapy. It wasn't love. It was abuse. Those words saved his life. She connected him with a real therapist, someone who specialized in trauma, someone who told him that there was nothing wrong with being gay, that the only thing broken was the system that tried to change him. For the first time in years, Daniel heard someone say, "You are not the problem." Recovery wasn't instant. It wasn't easy. Daniel struggled with depression. He had nightmares about the program. He flinched when he heard loud noises. He avoided churches. But slowly, with the help of his therapist, he started to rebuild. He learned that what happened to him had a name: religious trauma. He learned that thousands of others had survived similar programs. He learned that he wasn't weak for struggling. When he turned 18, he moved out. He found a small apartment. He got a job. He started going to LGBTQ+ support groups. And he started speaking out. Daniel began sharing his story online, not for sympathy, but to warn others, to let people know what conversion therapy really was. His posts went viral. Survivors reached out. Parents reached out. Some apologized. Some defended the programs. Some thanked him for speaking up. Today, Daniel is 25. He's an activist. He works with organizations fighting to ban conversion therapy worldwide. He's also engaged to a man he met at a Pride event 3 years ago, a man who knows his story and loves him anyway. When people ask him how he survived, he always says the same thing: "I survived because I refused to believe them. They told me I was broken, but the only thing broken was their hate. Daniel's story isn't unique, and that's the tragedy. Conversion therapy has destroyed lives. It has driven people to suicide. It has torn families apart. But survivors like Daniel are fighting back. In recent years, more countries and states have started banning these practices. Survivors are speaking out. Medical organizations worldwide have condemned conversion therapy as harmful and ineffective. But the fight isn't over. As long as there are places where being LGBTQ+ is considered a disorder, there will be programs trying to fix it. As long as parents believe love requires changing their child, there will be kids like Daniel strapped to chairs. This story matters because it's still happening, and the only way to stop it is to refuse to stay silent. If this story moved you, share it.